Hello, Chevra. I'm coming to you live from my backyard. A beautiful day, a Chumash outside, and giving you some Torah to move into Shabbos with. Here I am, ready to deliver some hopefully inspiring words on this Erev Shabbos. I want to share with you a thought. It's related to Yom HaShoah, but it's really about life itself. It's about Jewish life. It was something I shared with my students a few days ago on Yom HaShoah. I asked them, I said, people like my grandparents, people like many of our own parents or grandparents, people like all of the Jews who survived the Holocaust and made that difficult decision to renew their faith, to restore what was, and be religious, maintain their observance, maybe not exactly as they had it the way it was when they were growing up in Europe, but to some degree to say, no, I want Shabbos back in my life after 6 years of hell. I want Jewish education in the lives of my children and my grandchildren. I want to rebuild what was lost. Because that was one choice that people made. The other choice, and there is no judgment for anyone who made the other choice, because the other choice was very understandable. Look at what this did to me. Look at what they did to me. Look at what God did to us, to my parents, to my siblings, to aunts, uncles, cousins, to my whole world. It was upended. Do I want to bring that back into my life? Do I want to bring that into my children's lives and have them, God forbid, potentially be persecuted for their faith? You know what? I may have a Jewish last name, but thanks but no thanks. And you know what? Those people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has an incredibly holy place for them, just as he does in Olam Haba, in the next world, just as he does for those who made the other choice and came back to Judaism, came back to their roots, came back to rebuild a life based on Torah and mitzvot. What was it? What spurred them to want to come back? How? After what they went through. And I think we could see a glimpse of it in this week's Parsha. There's this excitement over the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, and Moshe and Aaron, they come in and they bring in these karbanot, and it's wonderful and it's amazing. And the pasuk says it itself, Vatetzei eish milifnei Hashem, a fire came out from God and it consumed the sacrifices on the Mizbeach. Vayar kol ha'am vayaronu. The people saw, and vayaronu, Liranein, they were filled with glad song. They started singing, jubilantly dancing. They were excited, and they fell on their faces. That's the joy of Jewish life. It's understanding that Shabbos was a time of joy, not a time of strictures and restriction or sadness. It's understanding that the holidays enriched, that wearing tefillin every day, that davening, that lighting Shabbos candles, that keeping kosher, that sending our kids to yeshiva, that these are things that bring joy into our lives. And yet, in the very same vein, literally, next pasuk, it talks about the story of Nadav and Avihu. Nadav and Avihu jumped in, and they were excited. They wanted to be a part of it. And it says the same exact words. They bring in a foreign fire. Same exact words the Torah uses. A fire came out from God, and instead of consuming the sacrifices to consume them, Vayamutu lifnei Hashem, and they passed away. And there was immense, obviously, sadness, grief, tragedy had struck. We know all too well what this feels like. And I think it's exactly what's happening, what the Torah is trying, the picture the Torah is trying to paint of Jewish life. There are times where we feel the Eish Milifnei Hashem, which is an Eish, which is a fire of passion, of excitement, of joy. And we revel in it. And yet, sadly, there are also times where we feel a fire mamish that's all consuming, that brings nothing but sadness, darkness and gloom and despair. So going back to my original question, how did those incredible Kedoshim choose to renew, to restore what was in their Jewish lives? Is because, yes, they experienced both sides of the coin. But they chose to remember the joy. They chose to focus on the incredible meaning and fulfillment and happiness and love and embrace that Judaism, that a life filled with Torah and mitzvos brings to us, to our children, to our grandchildren, to our communities. And that's what I want to recreate. Vayaronu. I want to recreate that incredible, beautiful song. And I want to burn with the passion of love for Yahadus, for the Jewish people, for God and for His Torah. I think we saw that fire, that incredible fire burning in the Jews that bravely, literally left Europe and then went to fight in the Milchemet HaShichrur, in the War of Independence for the Jewish state. And all those who were there already building the Yishuv and said, we're going to recreate Jewish life as it was, not even the way it was in Europe. We're going to go back to 2,000 years ago in the heyday of the Malchut Yisrael, and we're going to find a symbol that represents us, the menorah, that speaks to the value of keeping that torch shining brightly and reveling in the joy that is Jewish life. Chevra, I made a call to people at Yizkor time to return, to come back to shul. As so many people in our community, Baruch Hashem, are vaccinated. Things are opening up. Why do I want you to come back? Because it's sad without you. Because there's so much joy, there's so much incredible energy and spirit in our community, and all of that is concentrated, is focused on our campus at 1313 Weaver Street. Come back and let's experience the joy of Judaism together. Have a great Shabbos, a Chodesh Tov.